Okay. Please use it. Okay. Okay, wir sind drauf. Warum? Siehst du den jetzt nicht? Doch, ist da. Kontrollbildschirm. Aktive Zuschauer, das bin ich selber. Das ist gut. So, dazu noch. Nein, hey, Fensteraufnahme 2. Sag dir doch an. Warum machst du das? Reihenfolge. Eine nach oben. Ah, okay. Den kann ich jetzt da einlegen. Wir nennen das jetzt mal umbenennen. Google. Hier machen wir mal umbenennen YouTube. Okay. Entfernen. Ja. Umbenennen. Wi-Fi-Cam. Wi-Fi-Cam. Denver. Okay. Das Aufnahme 3 wurde uns umbenennen. Nein. Umbenennen. Mike. Gut. Okay. Jetzt kann ich das. Zieht ihr das? Okay. Ich muss es dann immer nur einfach drüber ziehen. Das kann ich da hin tun. Das ziehe ich rüber. Gut. Luzanov aus Bulgarien. Das hat der Kollege gesagt. Oh, 2 Zuschauer. Hallihallo.
Suggestion bedeutet, dass alles untersucht im Raum ist. Zum Beispiel in dem Raum, wo ich hier gerade sitze, wenn man mich in einen bestimmten Zustand Sprachen lernen. Superlearning ist auf dem bulgarischen Professor Luzanow zurückzuführen, der
Luzanow aus Bulgarien. Luzanow, Superlearning. Okay. Ich finde den nicht. Luzanow Buch. Luzanow 400. Das alte Luzanow, sehr mit Kunden, Luzanow entdecken. Teil Luzanow. Vielleicht habe ich es auch falsch geschrieben. Okay. Lassen wir mal erzählen.
sich in den 70er Jahren damit beschäftigt hat, wie ist es möglich, dass es Menschen gibt, die alles um sich herum sich merken können und in einem bestimmten Zustand alles abrufen können. Also zum Beispiel in dem Raum, wo ich hier gerade sitze, wenn man mich in einen bestimmten Zustand bringt, kann ich euch genau erzählen, was alles in diesem Raum ist. Davon war Professor Luzanow so fasziniert, dass er hingegangen ist und Yogis untersucht hat und denen ihr Supergedächtnis. Also er hat untersucht, was machen die anders, dass die sich wirklich alles merken können bis ins kleinste Detail. Aus diesen Untersuchungen sind 3 wesentliche Erkenntnisse rausgekommen. Die erste Erkenntnis ist die Suggestion. Suggestion bedeutet, dass alles eben, was um uns herum passiert, sich auf uns und unser Gehirn Einfluss nimmt. Also das können Tonlagen, Geräusche, Bilder, Farben, eben alles, was um uns herum passiert, wirkt sich in irgendeiner Form auf uns aus. Diese Erkenntnis ist eine der wesentlichsten, auf der Superlearning basiert.
Okay, ja, stimmt. Kennen wir aus der Hypnose.
Die zweite Erkenntnis ist, dass bei Superlearning sich der Lernende, oder um den es geht, in einer konzentrierten Entspannung befindet. Da hat er eben gesehen, dass die Yogis beim Wissensaufnahme sich zunächst erstmal in eine konzentrierte Entspannung bringen und in dieser Entspannung ist unser Gehirn extrem aufnahmefähig.
Konzentrierte Entspannung nennt man auch Meditation oder ich kenne es unter Trance.
Kommen wir zur dritten Erkenntnis. Die dritte Erkenntnis von Luzanow ist, dass Emotionen eine wichtige Rolle spielen, um sich Dinge merken zu können und im Langzeitgedächtnis abzuspeichern. Da hat er verschiedene Versuche gemacht und gesagt, dass in Superlearning klassische Musik dabei hilft, die emotionale Ebene des Gehirns anzusprechen und somit den aufgenommenen Lernstoff mit Emotionen zu verknüpfen. Das führt dazu, dass das Gelernte im Langzeitgedächtnis abgespeichert wird.
Safe ist wirklich so. Kann ich mir auch besser merken, wenn ich besonders tiefe Emotionen damit verknüpfen kann.
Yiki haben diese 3 Erkenntnisse der Superlearning-Methode mit aktueller Spracherwerbsforschung zusammengebracht und die Yiki-Learning-Methode entwickelt. Mit der Yiki-Learning-Methode kannst du schnell und einfach Sprachen lernen. Da haben wir eben genau gesagt, okay, wir müssen es schaffen, den Lernenden oder die Lernende in einen Zustand zu bringen und die äußeren Einflüsse so zu gestalten, dass sie optimal zum Lernen sind. Dann sorgen wir dafür in unseren Yiki-Sprachduschen, so wie wir unsere Sprachkurse nennen, dass du als Lernender oder Lernende in einer entspannten Konzentration bist und somit besonders aufnahmefähig während des Lernens bleibst. Diese Aufnahmefähigkeit und diese entspannte Konzentration aufrechtzuerhalten ist nicht so leicht, wobei diese klassische Musik eben wieder eine wichtige Rolle spielt. Einmal hilft die dir dabei, eben in dieser Entspannung drin zu bleiben und spricht eben deine emotionale Ebene des Gehirns an, sodass du besonders schnell lernen kannst und das Gelernte auch im Langzeitgedächtnis bleibt. Ich würde aber sagen, probier einfach mal unsere Sprachduschen aus, die dem die Erkenntnisse der Superlearning-Methode aufgenommen haben. Dafür kannst du einfach auf unsere Webseite klicken und da kostenlos erste Lektionen nutzen und einfach mal ausprobieren, ob du...
Okay. Speichern, wir brauchen... bin ich jetzt? Wenn ich auf dem YouTube-Kanal jetzt live bin, kann ich dann noch was anderes machen auf dem Kanal? Na, wir probieren das jetzt. Hey, geht nicht. Okay, dann speichern wir den Kanal, ist egal. Speichern unter my Playlist. Okay.
Du mit Superlearning bzw. Wiki-Learning auch so gut Sprachen lernen kannst, wie es bereits viele tun. Das war schon wieder eine Folge Endlich Sprachen lernen mit Wiki. Ich freue mich aufs nächste Mal.
Binary Beats. Ja, okay. Wie kann ich das jetzt? Suggestion, okay.
In diesem Video möchte ich dir ein Geheimnis enthüllen, und zwar das Geheimnis, wie du
Er ist auch cool. Marco C. Lorenz. Warum hat er jetzt nur... Hä? Okay.
immer alles verstehen und merken wirst. Okay, ich habe vielleicht mit dem Titel ein bisschen übertrieben, immer alles verstehen und merken. Nein, habe ich nicht. Und zwar tatsächlich, wie du immer alles verstehen und merken wirst. Ja? Das hört sich jetzt ein bisschen so unrealistisch an, wenn jetzt jemand sagt, hey du, ich erzähle jetzt eine Geheimtechnik und mit der Technik wirst du immer alles verstehen und merken können. Ja? Aber vielleicht kennst du das, vielleicht kennst du Menschen, wenn die über etwas reden, zum Beispiel über Fachgebiet, und du fragst sie etwas, dann werden sie sofort eine Antwort darauf geben können. Sie werden einfach sie haben einfach Dinge immer alles im Kopf und man fragt sich.
Was der Marco immer gut macht, ist, es ist immer ein Bücherregal im Hintergrund. Das suggeriert auf jeden Fall Wissen. Ne? Das ist schon mal Grundbedingung 1 für dein Gehirn, dass du sagst, okay, das ist ein toller Typ, der hat viele Bücher im Hintergrund, das kriegst du jetzt, da sind wir jetzt schon wieder bei Suggestionen, kriegst du nur unterbewusst mit.
Wie kann der das wissen? Ja? Und ich bin ja jemand, der sehr wissbegierig ist, der schon sich seit über 15, 20 Jahre mit dem Thema Lesen, Speedreading, Superlearning beschäftigt. Und irgendwann hat man eine gewisse Anzahl von Büchern erreicht, wo man dann anfängt zu vergessen. Und dann braucht man Methoden, Techniken und Strategien, wie man das, was man weiß, wirklich sortiert und speichert und dann immer wieder abrufen kann. Ja? Und da habe ich ziemlich viel herumgeforscht und experimentiert und habe eine Methode entwickelt. Und mit der Methode fahre ich ziemlich gut. Und zwar, es gibt nämlich zwei Arten von Wissen. Ja? Es gibt so das echte Wissen, also der Kern des Wissens plus alle.
Ich würde es mal zurück, das habe ich schon gesehen. Podcast Superlearning stellen, effektiv neues Wissen aufnehmen. Martin Schumacher. Okay. Das war ja egal.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen da draußen wieder zu einer neuen Podcast-Folge. Heute mit einem spannenden Thema. Ich bin diesmal wieder alleine. Es geht um das Thema Superlearning, wie du dir wirklich super easy Fakten, Zahlen merken kannst. Vielleicht bist du auch gerade so wie ich in Vorbereitung auf eine Prüfung und merkst, oh, das Zeug sich alles reinzuziehen, ist anstrengend. Das Ganze kann Spaß machen, das Ganze kann wirklich auch...
Also mein Ziel ist es jetzt, das in meine YouTube-Videos zu übertragen, wie Superlearning am besten geht.
Nachhaltig hängen bleiben, wenn man so 2, 3 Tipps berücksichtigt, wie man sich am besten das ganze Zeug einprägt, und darüber möchte ich heute mit dir sprechen. Also wenn das für dich auch interessant ist, neue Sachen zu lernen, so dass sie vielleicht auch ein bisschen länger hängen bleiben, dann bleib doch jetzt am besten dran. Ich freue mich. Ja, cool. Ich freue mich, dass du dran geblieben bist. Wie gesagt, heute geht es um das Thema Superlearning, wie man sich Sachen leichter merken kann. Und ich hatte es jetzt in der Einleitung schon gesagt, ich selber befinde mich gerade in der Vorbereitung auf meine Prüfung, auf meine mündliche Prüfung für den Heilpraktiker für Psychotherapie. Und da gibt es echt so eine Menge Fakten zu lernen zu den einzelnen Krankheiten, die einzelnen Symptome. Und ich merke irgendwie, man kann da A, schnell durcheinander kommen, und B, muss halt irgendwie ziemlich viele Fakten auch parat haben. Und es gibt dann halt immer wieder so 1, 2 Fakten, die wollen einfach nicht hängen bleiben, die will man sich einfach nicht merken. Und ja, dafür hatte ich mich halt nochmal mit diesen ganzen Sachen Gedächtnissport, Memorierung von Fakten und Daten beschäftigt. Und ja, die wichtigsten Tipps davon möchte ich dir gerne einfach jetzt in diesem Podcast vorstellen. Vielleicht hilft es dir ja auch, weil du auch vielleicht dich gerade auf eine Prüfung vorbereitest oder weil du einfach generell irgendwelche Themen in deinem Leben lernen willst, dass die besser hängen bleiben. Manche nutzen es auch für Einkaufslisten, manche nutzen es, um sich Namen besser zu merken. Ganz egal, wofür du es benutzen willst, in diesem Podcast geht es jetzt um das Thema Lernen. Ich freue mich drauf. lass uns vielleicht in ein paar Basics zu deinem Gehirn starten, wie das Gehirn funktioniert und was eigentlich Vernetzung von neuen Wissensinhalten ist, was ein Wissensnetz ist und ja, warum es Sinn macht, um ein Thema wirklich verschiedene Quellen sich reinzuziehen, verschiedene Sachen sich anzuhören, um sein Wissensnetz zu erweitern. Vielleicht hast du schon mal was von der in meinen Augen sehr, sehr genialen Frau Vera F. Birkenbiel gehört, die lebt, glaube ich, nicht mehr meines Wissens, war aber eine geniale Lerntrainerin und sie hat sich sehr damit beschäftigt, wie man Wissen in ein bestehendes Wissensnetzwerk in seinem Gehirn einflechtet, wie man wirklich mittels Eselsbrücken sich die Sachen einfach wirklich viel, viel besser merken kann. Und eine der Techniken ist sozusagen die Erweiterung seines Wissensnetzes. Also ich mache es mal konkret jetzt vielleicht an meinem Beispiel für den Heilpraktik für Psychotherapie. Dein Gehirn hat ein gewisses Vorwissen, also im besten Fall. Wenn du ein ganz, ganz neues Thema reingehst, hast du überhaupt gar keine Nervenbahnen oder Wissensnetzwerke angelegt, aber an manchen Stellen gibt es vielleicht schon so kleine Ankerpunkte in deinem Gehirn, wo neues Wissen andocken kann. Also in diesem Beispiel habe ich vielleicht schon mal was von Sigmund Freud gehört, ich habe vielleicht schon mal den Begriff Psychoanalyse gehört, ich habe vielleicht schon mal den Begriff Psychotherapie gehört oder Antidepressiva. Und das sind halt alles Wörter sozusagen, mit denen ich bestehendes Wissen verknüpfen und vernetzen kann. Und je größer dieses Netzwerk ist in meinem Kopf, umso mehr Andockmöglichkeiten gibt es natürlich für neue Informationen. Und wenn dann halt ein neuer Begriff reinkommt, wie zum Beispiel hebephrene Schizophrenie, wo du erstmal denkst, okay, vielleicht Schizophrenie habe ich schon mal gehört, Hebephren habe ich noch gar nicht gehört. Das heißt, du beschäftigst dich jetzt mit dem Wort oder mit dem Ding hebephrene Schizophrenie und wenn du dann dafür ein etwas besseres Bild hast du sozusagen einen neuen Anker geschaffen. Also wenn du weißt, dass Hebephren irgendwie von Griechisch, von der Jugend kommt, weißt du, dass die hebephrene Schizophrenie was ist, was aus der Jugend heraus oder im Jugendalter entsteht. Und somit hast du schon wieder einen neuen Ankerpunkt geschaffen, an den du neues Wissen andocken kannst. Also es geht wirklich um die Erweiterung des Wissensnetzwerkes. Das heißt, ich habe jetzt zum Beispiel angefangen, mir wirklich sehr, sehr viele Sachen einfach zum Thema Psychotherapie reinzuziehen. Also neben den Folien, die ich natürlich lernen musste, habe ich mir YouTube-Videos angeschaut, habe ich in Büchern zum Teil gelesen, habe ich mit Menschen drüber gesprochen und einfach so dadurch erstmal dieses Wissens- und Andocknetzwerk erweitert. Also, erster Tipp, schau, dass du wirklich verschiedene Informationsquellen ranziehen kannst und einen groben Allgemeinüberblick und dein Wissensnetzwerk einfach Stück für Stück erweitern kannst. Ein weiterer wichtiger Faktor, um sich Sachen wirklich besser zu merken, ist die Kombination aus beiden Gehirnhälften zu nutzen. Du weißt vielleicht, wir haben eine linke und eine rechte Gehirnhälfte, wobei die linke eher so Zahlen, Fakten und Daten orientiert ist und die rechte eher für Gefühle, Bilder, Emotionen verantwortlich ist. Und hier sind eigentlich schon gleich zwei wichtige Punkte enthalten, nämlich zum einen die Bilder und zum anderen die Emotionen. Und wir fangen gleich mal mit den Bildern an. Weil es ist immer besser, eine trockene Information mit einem Bild zu verknüpfen. Dafür kennen die Gedächtnissportler auch viele Möglichkeiten. Beispielsweise, wenn wir mal einfach die Zahlen von 1 bis 10 nehmen, werden diese Zahlen in Bilder umgewandelt. Also beispielsweise für die 1 könnte die Kerze sein, also eine gerade stehende Kerze. Oder die 2 steht für einen Schwan bei mir zum Beispiel, weil ich finde es aus wie so ein Schwan. Und die 3 kann der Dreizack sein und die 4 könnte ein Segelboot sein. Also je nachdem, wie auch die Zahl vielleicht aussieht, kannst du damit ein Bild verknüpfen. Und wenn du jetzt beispielsweise dir Fakten merken willst, also zum Beispiel an erster Stelle kommt das, an zweiter Stelle kommt das, an dritter Stelle kommt das, kannst du dir das Ganze halt, wie gesagt, mit diesen Bildern vorstellen. Also die 1, wenn es die Kerze ist es beispielsweise nehmen wir mal die Symptome der Depression, weil ich, wie gesagt, gerade für den Heilpraktiker lerne, ist das 1 zum Beispiel die Antriebsschwäche, weißt du? Und zum Beispiel kannst du dann sagen, ja, ich habe keinen Antrieb mehr, die Kerze auszupusten. Deswegen weißt du, dass 1 die Antriebsschwäche ist. Und 2, der Schwan, die 2 ist halt eine depressive Verstimmung. Kannst du dir einen Schwan vorstellen, der völlig depressiv auf seinem Teich umher schwimmt und einfach keine Freude mehr hat daran. Deswegen ist die 2 die depressive Verstimmung der Schwan. Und so, das klingt jetzt vielleicht erstmal umständlich, aber es ist wirklich einfacher für dein Gehirn, mit einem stehenden Bild eine Information zu koppeln, weil allein der Begriff depressive Verstimmung ist irgendwie relativ trocken, beziehungsweise es gibt halt kein Bild dazu. Was natürlich eine weitere Möglichkeit ist, wie ich das gerade gesagt habe, mit Emotionen das Ganze zu verknüpfen. Das heißt, wenn du das vielleicht sogar kennst, diese depressive Verstimmung, weil du das schon mal hattest, dann kannst du sozusagen dir diesen emotionalen Marker setzen und sagen, weißt du noch damals, als ich überhaupt nicht mehr aus dem Bett gekommen bin und mir nichts mehr Freude gemacht hat, das ist auch eine sehr, sehr effektive Methode, weil du es damit sofort auf dich beziehst und du was mit dieser Emotion anfangen kannst und du somit sozusagen auch so das Wissen an der Stelle verknüpfen kannst. Also ganz wichtig, Bilder und Emotionen mitzuverwenden beim Merken dieser Daten und Fakten. Und dafür ist manchmal auch eine Menge Fantasie notwendig. Also was heißt manchmal, ist es sogar besser, wenn du hier deine Fantasie wirklich rege spielen lässt, weil wenn die Sachen sollten merkwürdig sein, also merkwürdig, der Name sagt schon, wenn etwas merkwürdig ist, merken wir uns das besser. Das heißt, je kreativer du dir wirklich auch die Bilder erschaffst, die du dir merken willst, nehmen wir mal diesen depressiven Schwan, der da mit seiner Kerze vielleicht umherschwimmt, dann erschaffst du wirklich in deinem Geist ein sehr merkwürdiges Bild und du wirst dich besser daran erinnern können. Also versuch, wenn du Bilder kreierst und mit Informationen verknüpfst, das wirklich ausgefreakt zu machen und so ungewöhnlich und auffällig wie möglich, damit es sich dein Gehirn an der Stelle wirklich besser merken kann. Und du siehst schon, ich gehe hier relativ schnell durch die Sachen, weil es mir wirklich wichtig ist, dir erstmal einen groben Überblick zu geben, was es alles für Möglichkeiten gibt, sich die Sachen einzuprägen und was vielleicht wichtig ist als Zusatzstoff, um ein Bild dafür zu bekommen, dass diese Sachen auch hängen bleiben. Also wir hatten zuerst das Wissensnetz zu erweitern, wir hatten die Bilder, wir hatten die Emotionen, wir hatten jetzt noch die Merkwürdigkeit, also deine Fantasie anzuregen, dass es wirklich eine für dich besser einzuprägende Information ist, weil es ja wirklich so merkwürdig ist. Das nächste ist der Kontext bzw. die Transformation des Wissens. Es ist immer gut für dich, wenn du beim Lernen gleich rangehst, zu überlegen, aus welchem Kontext heraus lerne ich das oder beziehungsweise wofür lerne ich das und kann ich das eventuell schon gleich in meinen Alltag transformieren oder beziehungsweise gleich irgendwie anwenden. Wir bleiben wieder bei meinem Beispiel, bei dir kann es was total anderes sein, bei dem Heilpraktiker für Psychotherapie, bei der Depression oder bei der Schizophrenie, mir zum Beispiel zu überlegen, okay, kenne ich denn gerade jemand vielleicht, der in meiner Umgebung schizophren ist, an dem ich gewisse Sachen erkennen kann oder kenne ich depressive Menschen, was vereint diese Menschen, also wirklich in meinen Realitätsbezug reinzugehen und dann vielleicht im nächsten Schritt zu sagen, wofür könnte ich das Wissen denn gebrauchen, also warum ist es für mich wichtig, die Hauptsymptome einer Depression oder einer Schizophrenie oder einer Manie zu lernen. Weil ich eben Menschen in der und der Situation helfen will, weil ich meiner Tante Erna, die an Depressionen leidet, helfen will, weil ich erkennen möchte, ob das überhaupt Depressionen sind, was meine Tante Erna hat. Also wirklich versuchen, das Wissen schon richtig in den Kontext zu stellen, dass es für dich Sinn macht, es auch zu lernen, weil nichts ist schlimmer, als Wissen trocken zu lernen, ohne zu wissen, wofür. Also wenn du an der Stelle wirklich dein Warum hast, warum du das Ganze lernst, steigert das natürlich an der Stelle auch deine Motivation und du sagst, hey, okay, aus dem Grund lerne ich das, oder du findest halt heraus, dass es dir überhaupt keinen Spaß macht, dann sollte man sich natürlich fragen, warum ich das überhaupt gerade lerne, ob das für dich Sinn macht. Im Fall vielleicht, wenn du gerade noch in der Schule bist, und dir das überhaupt keinen Spaß macht, irgendwelche Zahlen und Fakten zu lernen, was ich total verstehen kann. Ich habe Schule damals einfach so genutzt, das als Lernen zum Lernen zu nutzen. Also wenn ich vielleicht an der Stelle gemerkt habe, eigentlich interessiert mich das gar nicht, aber irgendwann habe ich es dann hinbekommen, einfach zu sagen, ich lerne einfach auch, um das Lernen zu lernen. Und ja, vielleicht hilft dir das, gerade wenn du an der Stelle bist, wo du trockenen Stoff pauken musst, auf den du keinen Bock hast. Aber ansonsten kannst du das tatsächlich auch hier machen. Wenn das ein Stoff ist, wo du zum Beispiel sagst, oh Gott, irgendwie die Jahreszahl Karl der Große, irgendwas, hast du eigentlich keinen Bock zu lernen, kannst du das aber vielleicht auch schon in den Kontext setzen, nämlich, hey, wo könnte ich das vielleicht mal gebrauchen, die Jahreszahl von Karl dem Großen? Vielleicht kann ich mal auf einer Familienfeier jemanden damit beeindrucken oder ich kann, keine Ahnung, ich gewinne bei Wer wird Millionär, weil die Frage dann die Millionenfrage ist. Also sich wirklich diesen Kontext zu schaffen, dass die Motivation dafür besser erhalten bleibt. Genau. So, und jetzt möchte ich mal noch wirklich auf 2, 3 konkrete Methoden eingehen, die du vielleicht sogar aus dem Fernsehen kennst, wenn so Gedächtnisweltmeister ganz viele Zahlen sich hintereinander merken können. Oder du kennst das vielleicht, die alten Sprecher im Rom, die zum Teil stundenlang ihre Reden gehalten haben, Cicero zum Beispiel. Die hatten alle eine ganz bestimmte Methode, wie sie ihre Reden aufbauen, was an erster Stelle kommt, was an zweiter Stelle kommt. Und dafür gibt es, wie gesagt, verschiedene Methoden. Eine davon ist die sogenannte Loki-Methode und die möchte ich jetzt einfach mal der Reihe nach vorstellen. Wir fangen mal mit der Loki-Methode an. Das ist im Grunde wirklich ganz einfach und sie besteht eigentlich aus 3 Schritten. Und im ersten Schritt entscheidest du dich einfach für eine Umgebung. Das kann zum Beispiel dein Haus sein oder dein Urlaubsort, kann sogar im Endeffekt dein Körper sein. Also du brauchst eine Umgebung, an der du dich orientieren kannst, wo du gewisse Punkte in einer gewissen Reihenfolge festlegen kannst. Vielleicht kennst du diese Methode auch, wie gesagt, du verknüpfst jetzt einen Punkt in deiner Umgebung mit einer Information. Darum geht es. Und also sozusagen im ersten Schritt, du brauchst eine Örtlichkeit, ein Haus, eine Umgebung, ein Zimmer, ein Urlaubsort, dein Körper. Und im zweiten Schritt legst du dann die zu lernenden Informationen als mentale Bilder auf diesen Punkt oder auf diese Route ab. Und dann im dritten Schritt, das ist dann eigentlich kein Schritt des Lernens, sondern eher ein Schritt des Abrufens der Information. Denn du hast jetzt im Endeffekt die Information wieder mit einem Bild, wie ich das schon am Anfang gesagt habe, an einem ganz bestimmten Punkt abgelegt. Und du hast es sozusagen wie einen Anker gesetzt und diesen Anker rufst du jetzt wieder ab. Und es ist wirklich echt unglaublich, wie leicht sich Informationen dadurch merken lassen. Und wir können das Ganze eigentlich jetzt mal an einem kleinen Beispiel machen. Ich werde dir gleich 10 Begriffe nennen, ich werde sie einfach mal hintereinander aufzählen und du versuchst sie dir erstmal einfach so zu merken, ohne irgendeine Methode, okay? Hier kommen die Begriffe. Okay, die Begriffe lauten Banane, Handy, süß, Regenwurm, Laufen, Büroklammer, Hilfe, Backofen, Straße und Seil. Okay, alles klar? Alle gemerkt? Du siehst, es sind jetzt wirklich auch sehr bewusst einfache Begriffe gewählt. Vielleicht kriegst du noch ein paar zusammen. Du kannst ja mal einen Zettel, kannst dir kurz Pause machen, dir einen Zettel nehmen, wie viel du zusammenkriegst. Leichteste sind natürlich immer die Substantive gegenüber den Verben oder Adjektiven. Also sowas wie Banane oder Regenwurm bleibt wahrscheinlich hängen. Sowas wie Laufen oder, ich glaube Laufen und Süß waren meine einzigen Adjektive und Verben hier an der Stelle. Wird es natürlich ein Stück schwerer. Und das Ganze möchte ich jetzt einfach wirklich mal anhand dieser Methode vorstellen, dieser Loki-Methode, wo du diese Sachen sozusagen verorten kannst. Ich nehme jetzt einfach mal die Möglichkeit unseres Körpers, weil den Körper hast du halt immer dabei. Du könntest das Ganze aber, wie gesagt, auch in einem Raum ablegen. Ich mache mal den Beispiel am Körper. Wir gehen vom Kopf bis zur Zehe nach unten die einzelnen Bereiche durch. Und wir fangen mit dem Kopf an. Der Kopf könnte beispielsweise, kannst du dir vorstellen, du hast auch...
Ja, okay. Oh, da bin ich ja schon. Sehr cool. Useful your super brain to learn faster. Jim Quick. Okay.
As you've heard by now, we have an institute called the Performance Science Institute to teach high-performance mindset in any domain. We have Dr. Glenn Fox, a neuroscientist who leads that here. Many of you are in his class on Monday evenings, and those 2 classes work together. So part of my personal reason for starting this institute was I constantly feel like I'm not performing at my best. I just constantly struggle with, am I sort of like maximizing my potential, my abilities? I used to be really smart. I started to get that feeling like, geez, when I was in grad school, I could remember everything. I could read a case, I could digest it, and now I don't retain things like I used to. So I was like, how can I like improve my brain? And one person's name just keeps coming up around, not just around town, but around the world. You heard it last week when Ty said it, but you know, friends in YPO, friends in entertainment, they're all like, you should get Jim Quick for your class. You should get Jim Quick for your class. You know, he works for some of the best companies and entrepreneurs in the world, Fortune 50 companies, and is paid to do that, so we're really lucky that he is here. I'm a fan of his, not just his work, but his mission to serve others and help others. And when he heard about our class, he insisted on coming here. So I'm just really excited to welcome, let's give a USC welcome to Jim Quick.
How's everyone doing? Doing well? Yes, like this. What I want to do is I want this to be a different kind of class. I want this for you, this to be the most valuable class session you've ever had. And I know that's saying a whole lot. And it's not because I'm so great, it's I believe that you are so great. And so is the volume okay in the back there? You can hear me okay? So what I'm going to talk about is how we could become collectively twice as smart. How many people here like to be twice as intelligent? Right? Basically, I want to show you how you could double your brain power. So effectively, you could read twice as fast, your focus could be double, you could remember twice as much. I mean, effectively learn anything in half the time, any subject or any skill. How many people would find that valuable? A little bit or a lot? A lot. And so here's the thing. I am going to do this in a way that's a little bit different. I'm going to show you how to hack your brain. They say we use a very small percentage of that potential. What percentage of your brain do they say we use? Like Einstein said like 10%. I read Stanford later it said about 2%. I read recently it's 1/10,000th of 1%. It keeps on going down. But actually, in actuality, I feel like we use all our brain, but some of us use it more efficiently than others. Can people relate to that? And so what I'm going to do is show you some hacks to be able to get more out of it, where you don't have to work harder, but you're just working smarter. So I have no set presentation. And so what I'd rather do is, I know sometimes you'll learn something and at the end you'll ask questions. I would actually rather start by saying, asking you a question, like what would make this extremely valuable for you? If we're going to spend the next 75 minutes together or so, and I was a magical genie and I could snap my fingers and help you to be able to, your focus, your habits, your mindset, your concentration, your ability to read, your ability to recall things, what topics do you think would be really interesting and useful for the majority of the people here? And then we'll go from there. Yes? To read and retain. How many people here have too much to read, too little time? How many people have books on your shelf you haven't read yet? Right? And it's hard, right? How many people get more than 10 emails a day? Right? We're drowning in information, but we're starving for wisdom. Right? And so we live in this information age. I was doing a program. I remember hearing that from the chairman of Google that the amount of information that's been created from the dawn of humanity to the year 2003, just think about it, like a decade and a half ago, that amount of information, that data, how long does it take to be able to create that now? That wealth, that volume? 2 days, every 48 hours. You think about all the podcasts and the YouTube videos, social media, blogs, and so on, every 2 days. So the amount of information is doubling at dizzying speeds. But let me ask you a question. How we read it, has that changed at all? How we focus on it, retain it? So the amount of information is like this. This gap creates what? Stress, right? Anxiety. They call it information fatigue syndrome. You're going to hear a lot about this. It's a compression of leisure time, more sleeplessness, right? Higher blood pressure. Or even if you have time to enjoy yourself, you can't enjoy it because your mind's still like multitasking. So reading faster. So we could talk about that. What else would be useful for you? Yes? To be able to focus. How many people have ever, going back to studying, you're studying a page in a book, you get to the end and you just forget what you just read. And you go back and you reread it, and you get to the end, and you still don't know what you just read, right? How many people's minds wander? So we're going to talk about how do you maintain your concentration in a world full of distraction. What else? If we could definitely cover this. Reading speed and focus. Remembering names. How many people have ever met is it important to remember names? Have you ever met somebody, you get their name, and then seconds later after the handshake breaks, the name just falls right to the floor, and you wonder where it goes? Or if it's not a short-term issue, it's a long-term issue. Like you could be out and about, somebody taps you on your shoulder, you turn around, you see somebody you recognize, but for the life of you, you honestly don't remember who that person is. And what makes it worse is when you have to introduce two people, or what makes it really worse is when that person has the audacity to remember your name, right? And then it gets really awkward. Or you have to introduce two people whose names you don't remember, and it gets very awkward. You ever watch Seinfeld? Wasn't there a Seinfeld episode on this? Like he was dating somebody for a while, and he forgot her name, and every time she went to the bathroom, he would try to go into her purse and see her ID, and George and Kramer would come by and try to introduce themselves and get the name out. They play all these games. I think what was it? It rhymed with a part of the female anatomy, right? So it's names and faces. We'll cover that. What else? Yes? Control your emotions, like your emotional state, like how you feel about certain things, or anxiety. Yeah. It's tough, right? How many people feel like, you want to be logical sometimes, but you get your mind gets hijacked by your heart sometimes, right? Especially the emotions that get in the way of you learning, like anxiety and stress. Because when you go into fight or flight, you go, what happens is, I just did a whole I don't know if anyone listens to my show. It's the #1 training show on iTunes in the world. It's called Quick Brain. So you just look at your app and just search Jim Quick. And there's nothing sold there. There's no sponsors or anything. It's just 10-minute episodes on how to read a book a week, how to learn another language, how to be able to remember people's names, that kind of thing. But we did a whole thing on emotional states because when you're stressed, you create cortisol and adrenaline, which is really good for fight or flight, but it's not good if you need to study. It's not good if you need to give a presentation in front of a group of people. And so we'll talk about learning states. That's a lot to cover. Is there anything else that's really burning for somebody, like something you're struggling with, something you'd like to be able to fix that's really holding you back from being the person you'd like to be here? Yeah. Okay, so how many people can relate to this? It's like you don't study in school because what are you doing the night before? You're what? You're like cramming, right? And then the next morning, you don't study, and then all of a sudden you're studying all night. The next morning at breakfast, nobody can talk to you because you don't want anything to spill out of your brain. And you can't wait to take the test. And when you take the test, what happens afterwards? It's like on, right? So everybody knows there's a learning curve. But what a lot of people don't realize is there's also a forgetting curve. That within 48 hours, this is what the research is showing, within 48 hours of learning something once, 80% of it is gone within 2 days. Isn't that crazy? And you might be concerned, like, how do you learn new things built on like prior knowledge, right? We could talk about that. All right, so I'm going to go through. So this is great because it's good that I didn't prepare a set presentation. And I'm going to hit all these points for you in the time. How many people will find that this is incredibly valuable if we could really move the needle in those areas for you? Would that make things better? Okay, and the reason I ask is not because I don't know the answer. It's just this active is really important. You'll find that one of the keys to learning faster is participation. Meaning being active, because learning, here's what you want to remember. And I love the format of this class where people are sharing their big takeaways and their ahas in terms of what the big things you take away. I want to make sure that everybody has something that's just, you have it. I call these quickies. My last name really is Quick. I didn't change it to do what I do. It's my father's name, my grandfather's name. You could say my life and my destiny was pretty much planned out. I had to be a runner back in school. which is a lot of pressure when it says quick right on your shirt. I have to be very careful driving because the worst name to have on your driver's license when you get pulled over for speeding is the name Quick, because you're not going to talk your way out of that ticket. And I get to do my mission, which is helping people to learn faster. And the reason why I find that we can together collectively boost your intelligence almost 100%, like double your brain power, is not because I'm so great, it's because you're so great. It's just you weren't taught how to do this. I always think it's kind of interesting when you look back at school, a lot of, especially when you think about high school, elementary school, and junior high, middle school, a lot of classes on what to learn, right? Math, important classes, math, history, science, Spanish, all classes on what to learn, but how many classes were there on how to learn? Like how to think, how to focus, how to concentrate, how to really listen, how to study, right? How to read faster, the kind of things that you want to know that would make your life easier, right? How to remember things. I always thought it should have been the fourth R in school. They teach you 3 R's in school. What are the 3 R's? Reading, writing, and what? Arithmetic, right? The fourth R, what about remembering, right? What about recall? What about retention, right? Socrates says there is no learning without remembering. And you know this because if you forgot half of everything you know, how effective would you be? If you forgot half the people, half the words, half of everything that you studied, but what if you could double that amount? So that's what we're going to talk about here. So I'm going to share with you, I'm going to go through this rapid fire. You want to take notes as best you can because I'm going to give you like a whole download basically over the next 60 minutes, get you to the point where you will be able to double your brain power when you leave here today. Now, the key here is this. I'm going to customize it around you be able to learn. How many people have a subject or skill you'd like to learn faster? Can you think of one right now in your mind? Like, I want you to just think about a subject that you're having a challenge in or something you really want to master. It could be marketing, it could be Mandarin, it could be music, it could be martial arts. Think about a subject or skill, because I want to make this extremely, extremely practical. So here's what I want you to remember. Now, when see, the reason why I know you can learn how to do this is because a lot of people don't know, I grew up with learning challenges. Okay, and I don't share this a lot, but at the age of 5, I had a very bad accident, head trauma, brain injury, and I had learning difficulties. I was put in very special classes. Teachers would have to repeat themselves 5, 6, 7 times to me, and I still wouldn't understand. I would pretend I understood, but I didn't really understand. I had very poor focus. I had a very bad memory. It took me an extra 4 years to learn how to read. And it was really hard. You think about school where you're passing around. Remember you used to pass around that book and you had to read out loud? And when that book got closer and closer and closer, I would get so nervous. I think actually a lot of people who have a fear of public speaking, that's where it actually came from. Right? Because that was a learned association that we have, right? I read recently that the fear of public speaking is actually the #1 fear in this country. Number 2 is fire. Number 3 is death. It's crazy, right? So really, when you're thinking about it, if somebody's at a funeral or something, somebody would rather be like in the casket than actually giving the eulogy, right? Because people are so scared of public speaking. But I think the reason why people are so scared is they're scared they're going to forget what they need to say. Right? And so I teach a lot of the TEDsters how to be able to memorize their speeches, a lot of actors, from Jim Carrey to Will Smith, be able to teach them how to memorize their lines here in Hollywood because it's such a valuable skill, right? Because I believe 2 of the most costly words in business are I forgot. I forgot to do it. I forgot that conversation I had with that person. I forgot that client information. I forgot what I needed to say. I forgot that meeting. I forgot where I put it. I forgot that person's name. Every time you hear yourself say those words, you lose time, you lose opportunity, you lose credibility, right? And so I know, like after compensating, I learned all these ways to compensate, and now I teach these to individuals, but I know you have genius inside of you, right? So I'm going to show you how to activate that other 90% of it, the potential. So what I want you to remember, though, is if you want to learn, here's what I believe, that genius leaves clues. Genius leaves clues. That when somebody does something extraordinary, that you could see them do something extraordinary in any field, whether it's art, architecture, it could be mathematics, it could be fashion, whatever it is, and you could leave, or you could say, wow, that person's amazing. How do they do that? Because there's always a method behind the magic. When you see magic in the world, there's always a method, but it's usually unconscious. So I'm going to pull the curtain, if you will, and show you what people are doing inside their mind that allows them to get these incredible results. When someone can learn a language faster than somebody else, when people can read, a book. I've been reading a book a week now. I've been reading a book a day for 4 years. Everybody could do these kind of things because you weren't taught how to do it, though, right? And so one of the ways that, besides reading and research, is when you're role modeling genius, is who are the fastest learners on the planet? Who are the fastest learners? Children, right? How fast can children learn a musical instrument compared to an adult? How fast can a child learn another language compared to an adult, right? I did this, I was in an audience of 10,000 people from 60 countries. I said, who are the fastest learners on the planet? The whole table here yelled out pygmies, which I don't know. If you know why they're such fast learners, please tell me. But children learn fast, right? And part of it is they're so playful, right? Children ask lots of questions. They have a sense of wonderment, right? There's a Rumi quote that says, sell your cleverness for bewilderment. Sell your cleverness for bewilderment. Like, when's the last time you felt bewildered about something? So children learn so well because they play and they get involved in things. But the challenge is when we grow older, we stop playing, right? When we grow older, we stop playing. And I don't think that's true. I think it's actually the opposite. I think we grow older because we stop playing, right? That we grow older because we stop playing. So how many people are willing to play a little bit here to learn faster? Raise your hand. All right, stand up real quick. Let's prove it. Find somebody you don't know in the room and just partner with somebody in the room, ideally you do not know. Introduce yourself. Go, go, go. Raise your hand if you need a partner. Raise your hand if you need a partner. Raise your hand if you need a partner. Go around. Raise your hand if you need a partner and look for somebody else raising their hand. Partner up. If you hear my voice, go. Repeat after me. All right. This is what we're going to do, okay? We're gonna wake up your brains because it's the end of the day, and we're gonna do this little exercise because I believe Oliver Wendell Holmes says that once a person's mind is stretched by a new idea, it never regains its original dimensions. So I want you to be able to think differently, and where it starts with is in your body. When your body moves, your brain grooves. When your body moves, your brain grooves. Right? There's a connection between your brain and your body. There's actually a study done at Oxford University saying jugglers actually have bigger brains. Raise your hand if you know how to juggle. These people have very, very big brains. So you actually create more white matter. Jugglers learning how to juggle actually creates more white matter in your brain. And so as your body moves, your brain grooves. So I want to get you to think differently as opposed to just saying think differently. We're going to do it with our partners. So what we're going to do, Lauren, can I borrow you? I'll put you on the spot. We're going to do this. We're going to do very, very simple. We're going to count to 3, right, with our partner. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and then alternate back to 1. Ready? 1, 3, 2. All right, go with your partner. Go. Yeah. All right, we're going to do it again. Stay with me. All right, shh. Repeat after me. Very good. Now what we're going to do is this. Now we're going to take levels of difficulty. Now with the number 1, we're going to replace the 1 with a clap. All right, so watch this. Wait, not yet. Don't start yet. Don't start. 3, 2, 3. Go, go, go. This would be a nice picture. This would be a nice picture. At the next one. The next, in like 2 more from here. All right. Shh. Shh. All right. So when I go shh, you repeat after me. Shh. Very nice. Now 1 is going to remain a clap, but now you're going to stack number 2. 2 is going to be the sound of an animal. Okay. So watch this. 3. Caca. All right. Go, go, go. What animal is that? Okay. The next one you want to take a picture of. Or the next one you want to take a picture of. Okay. Shh. Very nice, very nice. Now, finally, we keep 1 and 2 the way, keep those stacked. The third one is, I don't know, some kind of dance, like the twist. How do you do a twist? All right, so watch this. So start with 1. Take 1. So watch this. All right. All right, go, 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 go with your partner. All right, all right. High five your partner, have a seat. High five your partner, have a seat. Okay. Can you turn my volume up a little bit? Okay. This is the lesson. We're going to talk about this. All learning is state dependent. All learning is state dependent. If you walk away with anything out of this session today, remember this. If you want to know the key to a long-term memory, do this. Repeat after me. Do this. Information combined with emotion becomes a long-term memory. One more time. Information combined with emotion becomes a long-term memory. And you know this because you are a memory expert. You know, how many of you could hear a song and it could take you back years? Raise your hand. Automatically, right? Without you thinking about it. How many people, it could be a song, but it could also be a fragrance. You could smell something and it could take you back. What about a food? How many people for you it's a food? There's a certain food that will take you back to when you were a child, right? Because the information alone is not memorable. Information combined with emotion becomes a long-term memory, especially when you understand the brain anatomy part. But going back to this, when it comes to emotion, what was the primary, when you think about school in the past, like think about high school, what was the primary emotion you felt back in high school? Say depression. What did you feel primarily? Okay, yeah, half the class was bored, the other half of the class was confused, right? But bored, right? Boredom usually. And so here's the thing. Information combined with emotion becomes long-term memory. Boredom, on a scale of 0 to 10, what's that? 0. What's anything times 0? And you wonder why you forget. Like if I ask you about the presidents, I ask you about like the periodic table, all the things that you learned back in school, what's your retention of that information? It's probably very little because of the state that you learned it in. Does that make sense? Okay, so you need to be able to up the state. And so part of what we do by moving around, and we kind of laugh about it and move our bodies a little bit, is we change the tone of it, right? Because emotion is created by motion and moving around. Emotion is created by motion. So for example, let me prove it to you. Sit the way you'd be sitting right now if you were completely fascinated and interested in every word I was saying. Sit exactly the way you'd be. Now, why do you even have to move? Because here's the thing. You know your physiology affects your psychology. That you can control the way you feel. It's not up. You know why I love this class? Because you're elite, right? You are exceptional because you self-selected to be here, right? You're what I call a thermostat. You're not a thermometer. Because you want to be a thermostat. You don't want to be a thermometer. What's a thermometer on the wall do? What's the primary function of a thermometer? It just reacts to the what? To the environment, right? Are people sometimes the same way? They just kind of react. They react to the weather, or they react how people are treating them. They react how the economy is doing, right? Now, there's a difference between a thermometer and a thermostat. What's a thermostat do? It controls the environment, right? It influences the environment. It sets a goal. It sets a standard. It sets a vision. And what happens to the environment? It rises. It raises to be able to meet that. And that's what leadership really is, right? It's about taking the invisible and making it what? Visible. So when you think about what you want to learn faster, and my promise is to you is to be able to give enough brain hacks to double your brain power, to be able to supercharge your intelligence, I want you to remember this. Be fast. Write this down. Be fast. It's an acronym. The B is believe. Because if you believe you can or believe you can, either way, what? You're right. Who said that? Henry Ford, right? Henry Ford said that. If you believe you can or believe you can't, either way, you're right. Now, what's a belief? Actually, let me show you what a belief is. Stand back up, quick. Make an arm length distance from the person next to you. I know it's going to be tight, but just try to make some distance for the person next to you. Even the wall behind you. Try to move around a little bit. I know. You guys got it. All right, put your arms down. Now, what I want you to do is this. I just want you to jump up and down a little bit, shake out your body. Stop. Notice where your feet are. And what I want you to do is just point forward with your right hand. With your other right hand. Okay, good. All right, so right hand. And what I want you to do is that without moving your feet, I want you to go clockwise to your right as far as you can turn, and notice where you're pointing comfortably. Turn as far as you go as you take your neighbor's eye out. And notice where you're pointing comfortably. Notice the point that you're pointing at exactly. Got it? Come back center. Let me show you what a belief is. Put your arm down. Put your arms by your side. Take a deep breath. Exhale. And close your eyes. I'm going to walk you through a quick visualization exercise I do with athletes. With your arms by your side, breathe normally. And I want you to imagine now, just imagine you're raising your arm again. And this time I want you to imagine you're turning twice as far as you did the first time. See and feel in your body, turning twice as far as you did the first time. Getting a great stretch. And again, with your eyes closed, I want you to imagine, see and feel yourself turning 3 times as far. What does that feel like in your body? Just imagine it. And some of you are thinking, I can't imagine it. If you can't imagine it, imagine you can imagine it. Imagine turning 3 times around. And then one more time with a smile on your face thinking, what does this have to do with speed reading? See and feel yourself turning 4 times around in your body, getting the best stretch of your life. What does that feel like? See and feel yourself turning 1, 2, 3, 4 times around. All right, open your eyes. Point forward with your right hand. And turn to your right now as far as you can now go. Whoa. All right, come back. Clap if you went further a second time. And have a seat, have a seat, have a seat. Now, here's my question for you. The magic question, the obvious question for you is this. Were you physically capable of turning that far the first time? Yes, right? Like nobody took a yoga class when my eyes were closed, right? You're able to. Where was the limitation if there was one? In your mind. And you're like, well, Jim, I didn't have a belief on how far I could turn. How many beliefs do you have? How many beliefs do you think you have? Yeah, millions, countless beliefs, right? But here's the thing. We're not conscious of those beliefs, right? But here's what you want to do to understand, that everything, there's a success formula I subscribe to. I believe it's this. Be, do, have, share. In that sequence, because the syntax is very important here. Be, do, have, share. Now, it's kind of interesting because some people try to reverse engineer this or actually like put something that's later, something former, right? Like somebody could, you've heard this before, right? Where somebody wins the lottery, all of a sudden they're at the have stage and they have millions of dollars. What happens after years? What happens to their financial situation? Right, it's all gone, right? Because they were given, or they have millions of dollars, but starting with the B, they were never a millionaire. Does that make sense? Right, so they never had to be able to do those things, so it went back to that thermostat. Does that make sense? Now, in order to be, do, have, share, in order to have anything to share with the world, you need to be able to do something. Is that true? Because it's not just the law of attraction, it's the law of action, right? You're taking action on things. And so in order to be able to do something, you need a belief that allows you to do that behavior, okay? So for example, if for somebody, let's say that they have trouble remembering names, and I teach you how to remember names, which I'm going to show you exactly how I remember people's names. If you have a belief, a sense of certainty around this idea that you're not good with names, what's going to happen? You're not going to remember. I remember I was preparing to run a marathon, and I was reading this book on training, and one of the chapters was on the psychology of running a marathon, and it said this verbatim, because I'm a memory expert. It said this: your brain is a supercomputer, and your self-talk is the program it will run. So if you tell yourself you're not good at remembering names, you will not remember the name of the next person you meet because you program your supercomputer not to. Does that make sense? Because here's the thing, a lot of times people go and they come to me and say, Jim, I'm too old, or this runs in my family, or I'm just not smart enough, or I have a horrible memory. But I always tell people, if you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them, right? If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you argue for your limits, they're yours, right? And so you always wanted to monitor your self-talk, always monitor your self-talk, because here's why. Your mind is always eavesdropping on your self-talk. Your mind is always eavesdropping on your self-talk. And you know, when I was 9 years old, right, I had this injury, this brain injury. When I was 9 years old, I remember in class, this changed my life for the worse. Or it's hard to judge it now because it's an inflection point that puts you on a path. Because sometimes your struggles become your strengths, right? Because my inspiration really was my desperation. How many people can relate to that? That going through desperate times actually led, I believe that a breakdown can lead to a breakthrough, right? You hear a lot about post-traumatic stress disorder. What you don't hear a lot about is post-traumatic growth. Right? A lot of people who've been through adversity, the most difficult time of their life, and they've come through it, and they wouldn't wish that situation on anybody, and yet they found value in it. They found a gift in it, right? They found a deeper meaning. They found a mission. They found some kind of strength from it that they wouldn't have had outside of that. And so post-traumatic growth, but going about my trauma with this brain injury, I remember I was in class, and a teacher pointed to me, talking to another adult, said, "That's the boy with the broken brain." Wow, right? Remember, and here's the thing with people, how many people interact with kids, children? How many people was once a kid? This is what it is. You have to be very careful because your external voice becomes their internal voice. You know what I mean? And that became my internal voice all through school. I was the boy with the broken brain. And anytime I didn't get something right, I would say, oh, that's because my brain is broken. You see how I kind of default for that? But here's why you want to monitor your belief. A lot of you went 25, how many people you went, raise your hand if you feel like you went 25% further, right? 25, 50% further. And here's the thing. You could go 25, 50% further in your health, in your relationships, right? In your grades, right? But it's having that belief that says you can do it. Because here's what you always want to remember. All behavior is belief-driven. All behavior is belief-driven. In order to do a new behavior, you need an empowering belief that allows you to do that behavior. And so when we do this visualization exercise, it's not just limited to students, right? I do this with executives. I do this with athletes a lot. What did, I'll give you an example. What did Roger Bannister do in 1954? What is he famous for? The 4-minute mile, right? Throughout human history, nobody can run a mile in less than 4 minutes, right? And how was he able to do it? It wasn't just physical training, he would do mental training, right? He would visualize inside of his mind, just like you were visualizing how much further you could go, he would visualize himself crossing the finish line, looking at the clock, and it said 3:59. Because he knows what you know, that success is an inside-out process. Here's the thing, it's not you'll believe it when you see it. It's you'll see it when you believe it. Does that make sense? When you actually see it, when you believe it in here, because all behavior is belief-driven. So he was able to do it because he saw 3:59 in his mind, and he was able to do it out here, right? And that's what entrepreneurs do, right? Entrepreneurs solve big problems. They create new value because they have this vision for what they want to create in their mind, and then it becomes external, right? Inside-out process. Be, do, have, share. So you have to be that before you be able to do it, to be able to have it. Now here's what I found interesting. I didn't find it interesting that he broke the 4-minute mile by visualizing. What I found interesting is what happened after that. Throughout human history, nobody can run a mile in less than 4 minutes. One person does it. What happens after that? Yeah, everyone starts running a 4-minute mile. Dozens of people start doing it in the next couple years. Now let me ask you a question. Was there big advancements in shoe technology and nutritional support and training methodology? No, what was the change? A change in belief. Because you know what the belief was back then? The belief was the human heart couldn't sustain a sub 4-minute mile. So it would explode in your chest. Now if you believe that, would that keep you from running a sub 4-minute mile? Like that would keep me from jogging, right? Nobody would do anything because no one would do anything because all behavior is belief driven, right? Then all of a sudden one person does it, then everybody starts to do it, right? And that's the power of a belief. Like I'm here because years ago, when I was growing up, when I was about 9 years old, I remember going to a family reunion. A bunch of us went out for dinner, and it was about 25 of us, busy Saturday night at a restaurant, and the waitress came and started taking everyone's order. And when she got to me about halfway through, I noticed something funny. She wasn't writing it down. Have you ever had a waiter or waitress like this? And I'm thinking like, and I'm 9 years old, I'm naturally very skeptical, right? Because I'm the broken brain, I think nothing's working, and I'm just thinking, all this stuff. But when she came back, she got every single thing perfect. I mean, like, what we wanted to drink, the salad dressings, the appetizers, how we wanted the meal cooked, like our desserts, every single thing perfect. Now, is that a standout skill is that a standout skill in business? Yes or yes? Right? Because it's hard to be able to stand out, make it really easy, yes or yes, I know it's the end of the day. But it's like, it's a standout skill in business, right? Because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Like just own that, right? Especially when it comes to names, right? How are you going to show somebody you're going to care for their business, their future, their finances, their health, their family, whatever it is you have to offer them if you don't care enough just to remember them, right? And before you sell anything, what do you sell? Yourself, right? And so that's why you want to be able to remember these things. So after I saw that and she came back, she was my Roger Bannister. Does that make sense? She did something I never thought was possible and opened up the possibility like, wow, what else is possible? Somebody could do that. Because here's what you want to remember. Genius leaves Palouse. That if somebody's a genius in any area, you could get similar results by finding out how they do it. Let me give you an example. Let's play a quick game together. I want you to, let's as a group, somebody before we started here asked me, before we got started, about numbers. How many, let me ask you a question. To be real, when you were a kid, how many phone numbers did you know? Okay, a lot, right? How many phone numbers do you know right now? Honestly. How many people have a number you call all the time, literally text or call all the time, and you honestly, if your phone was dead or you didn't have it with you, you honestly do not know what that number is, right? You know what they call that? They call it digital dementia. Digital dementia. This is a new term in healthcare. Basically, it's like our phone's keeping our to-do list, our schedules, it's doing simple math. I was out with a group of people, it was 10 of us, I swear to God. 10 of us, and then when the bill came, 3 people took out their phones to divide the bill by 10. And if you laugh, the people aren't laughing are thinking, yeah, why wouldn't you do that, right? Because here's the thing, we're outsourcing our brains to our smart devices. And your brain is like a muscle. It's use it or what? Lose it, right? But if I put my arm in a sling for 6 months, would it stay the same? Would it even grow, would it grow stronger, stay the same? What would happen? It would atrophy, it would grow weaker, and that's what's happening to our minds, right? You feel that, right? If I ask you, like nobody wants to memorize 500 phone numbers, but we've lost the ability just to remember one. How many people can relate? If I gave you a 7-digit number, or 10-digit number, how many people honestly would have trouble remembering that number, right? Because we've lost that potential. We forget passcodes, we forget all these different things. And so watch this, let's play a game together. Let's try to collectively remember a number, right? Let's, instead of like 200 plus numbers, let's collectively just come up with one number, we all write the same number down, right? And just for time's sake, so just raise your hand. Instead of doing single digits, let's do 2-digit numbers. So just raise your hand and say 27. In fact, let's say 27 is the first one. Write down 20. Everyone writes 27. And I'll repeat the number. And let's do the best we can to memorize this list. This will be a nice brain training exercise for all of us. So 27. So everyone writes 27. So raise your hand. Yes. 94. So everyone writes what? 94. We got it. Yes. Back center. 13. 13. Yes, sir. 21, blackjack. Is this all the volunteers? If we're having trouble coming up with numbers, we have to go in a totally different direction with this class. Yes. 50, 50. Yes. 88. Next one is 88. Yes. 31. Bingo. Yes. 75. How many single digits is that, by the way, just to get an idea? What's that? 16 digits. Wow, that's at least what, 2 numbers, right? Okay, let's do a couple more. You guys back there. 47. 47. Okay. Yes. 12. How many single digits are we at now? 20. Okay, let's do a few more. Let's see how many we can do here. Yes. What's that? 39. Number 39. Yes. 19. Number 19. Yes. 69. What'd you say? Yes, back there. 23? Number 23. And all the way in the back. 10? 10. How many single digits are we at now? You're like a lot. This number's getting really big. 30? All right, let's stop there. Now, how would you go about memorizing this list? This long number, how would you go about? How would you go about memorizing it? Chunking? Let's see how many. Actually, let me see if I can. I should have actually memorized this while we're doing it. Cover your pages in the front row here. Let me see if I can remember these 30 digits. Wait, I need some encouragement here. All right, I'll do single digits. Ready? 2, 7, 9, 4. How are we doing so far? 1, 3, 2, 1, 5, 0, 8, 8. Good. 3, 1, 7, 5, 7. Ooh, no. That was 4, 7. Yes. Whoa. 1, 2, 3, 9. Is that right? 1, 9, 6, 9, 2, 3, 1, 0. Now, I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's possible. Just like what this waitress did for me, right? She remembered everybody's order, and all of a sudden, I was like, wow, what else is possible? She was my Roger Bannister. Like, backwards. Well, maybe. Someone said backwards. What? How many people like to see me do this backwards? I need some energy here. All right, ready? Actually, let me try this. 0, 1, 3, 2, 9, 6, 9, 1, 9, 3, 2, 1. How are we doing? 7, 4, 5, 7, 1, 3, 8, 8, 0, 5, 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 4, 9, 7, 2.
Can we get a mic up again?
It's never happened before. Okay, so I am actually, I'm actually putting a card game together after this, if anyone wants to play some cards. All kidding aside, so I will, the truth is, if you come up to me, if we happen to see each other like in the neighborhood or whatever, and just like, hey, I was in that class, do you remember that list? Like even 3 weeks from now, I will literally go 2, 7, 9, 4, 1, 3, 2, 1, 5, 0, 8, 8.
Ciao, ciao.